Welcome back. Okay, so lesson 3, I want to walk you through just some examples, and rather than show you my screen with a whole bunch of stuff blurred out, I'm just going to talk through it. I think it still works this way. And obviously, there's a bunch of stuff I would love to show you, but I can't because it's full of private information. So we'll try it this way and see if it works. Once it's up and running, this is the sort of stuff that I'm using every day. This just becomes a normal way of working. So I can say something like, schedule lunch with Sarah at Chin Chin next Tuesday. And then it has all of the context to understand how to look at my calendar, how to add items to it. It knows where Chin Chin is, and it knows how far away it is from where I am right now. It knows whether I prefer to get the tram or cycle or drive. It understands, therefore, how much travel time to block, because it didn't know this on day one. I've just added this over time, so it starts to understand this, so I don't have to tell it every single time. Then it creates the event on my calendar with the restaurant address. That's pretty easy, right? But then it's going to ask me, hey, is this just for you? Do you want me to send a calendar invite to Sarah as well? And obviously it knows enough that the calendar invite for the restaurant bit goes to Sarah as well, but those 2 bits of blocked out time for travel don't. She doesn't get invited to all 3, but it means that the lunch bit itself is the right time on my calendar. This is probably not important. You know how to use a calendar. Again, think, what would a really good executive assistant do? But all that happens from a sentence, and then I move on with other tasks. Demo 2, email drafts. So I might say something like, draft a reply to the latest email from James about the proposal. So it understands that this means that there's going to be an email in my Gmail inbox. It goes and finds that. It reads the conversation thread and indeed can go and refer to a folder in the brain. So it knows that for most relationships where I have back and forth conversations in the past, it knows there is going to be a folder for that. If it can't find that, it will ask me a question and say, I've no idea who James is. Do you want to tell me that so I remember for next time? So again, it's getting better each time. It's not fully self-correcting. It's not completely self-improving. It's asking me for feedback and guidance, if you like, but then it's improving, and it's not going to ask that the next time. If I have 3 emails in my inbox from 3 different Jameses, it's going to ask me, which one do you mean? If one of them's about a proposal and the other 2 clearly aren't, it'll probably figure that out for itself, but it might just ask to clarify that. But all of this, it understands how I typically reply to an email. I'm pretty sort of short and sharp with my replies. I'm not very verbose. It knows that. It knows the type of sentences that I hate when AI uses, so it won't do that. I then have a second checker that I've built more recently that after it writes the reply, it goes through essentially a sort of a quality assurance step, which is a different large language model that says, hey, what did you ask for? What did you get? Is this going to be right? Do I need to make any corrections? So it is building in a little bit of that self-improving. Again, you don't need that on day one. On day one, you want it to write a draft that you are going to have to make changes to, but it's going to solve the blank page problem, and it's going to do 80% of the work for you. On day one, it won't be exactly in your voice, but you'll add rules to that over time. You might add a few rules on day one just to get it started, pointed in the right direction, but it's going to get better and better over time. And then what it knows to do, whenever I ask it to write a reply, it knows to open up the Gmail drafts folder in my browser so that I don't have to manually go and do that. I know it only saves me 2 or 3 seconds, but I love the fact that it just pops open in a window. I have this thing called the Expert Council. Now, there is a one demo for this on the 8020brain.com website, but I actually have 4 now, 4 expert councils. So I started with, there's a Google Ads one, a marketing and advertising one, and a business one. And then I've also built another one more recently, which has the customer avatars of people that would be interested in ads to AI. That's a 4th council that I built. So it's completely flexible. I even have a skill, remember those? We'll talk more about those a lot later, but I have a skill for adding new people to the council. So it's completely customizable. You can add whoever you like. If you don't want Seth Godin and Rory Sutherland and David Ogilvy, sitting on your expert councils, you can choose whoever it is that you want to be. And there's a skill for creating new people. It's not really people, obviously. You get the idea, right? So I ask it to convene the council. I ask it a tricky question. It will say, hey, do you want me to convene a council? Which council do you want? Oh, you want the business council for this? Great. Do you want 6 random people, 12 random people? Do you want all 20? Do you want to tell me who you want on the council? It uses this thinking tool called 6 Thinking Hats by a guy called Edward de Bono, which is a tool that's super useful. I got taught it many, many, many years ago. I know that de Bono has taught this from 8-year-olds to 88-year-olds. So it works in primary schools. It works in boardrooms. It is a way of making sure that everybody around the table gets heard and is part of the conversation. So I use that so that all of these different personalities around the table get to say their piece, and so that then that all gets synthesized and you can choose to either just see the answer or you can see all of their thinking. And then you can follow up with the council and you can say, actually, I've got a follow-up question for Seth Godin. Can you ask him why he said this and not this? And obviously, it is not the same, right? It is not the same as having Seth Godin sitting in your boardroom having a chat. But I don't know about you, but I can't afford to get Seth Godin on the phone every single time I would like to. It's a pretty good replacement given that it is essentially free and available 24/7. And I can have Seth Godin and David Ogilvy debate and have different perspectives on something. That's really the most useful thing here, is that you're not just getting an answer from an AI, which we know is essentially a Labrador puppy that just likes to please, right? And that will usually try and please you more than it will try to get to the correct answer. I'm doing this a lot, aren't I? Yeah, but I'm trying to be technical with this, and anyway. It's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good, and it's great when you get AI. This was really how I got AI to say no to me the first time, where I gave it a bunch of stuff, asked it a question, it said, yeah, that's a really good idea, but no, this is not the right time to do it. You should think about doing this in like 2 or 3 quarters time, because you've got this and this and this and this, and they are more important based on what you've been telling me. It was fantastic. It was not as good as my old general manager, but it was pretty blooming close, and it sounded a lot like my old general manager would have said to me, which is when I knew I was onto something, because she's smarter than me. Anyway, it's a super useful tool. That's only number 3. Right, research. Let me go a bit faster because this video is getting long for you. Research. So I've got a bunch of newsletters and YouTube summaries, as I've mentioned in the past, but this can also go off and read the web or read particular URLs that you give it, and then synthesize all of that information, trawl through it, and then write relevant insights around that. So it knows, for me, I've got these various experts that I follow for various things. So it's going to prioritize that information first, but if it needs to, it goes and gets more information. Yes, it does cite the sources if you want it to. Again, it's like having a personal research assistant. I used to pay a lot of money to have someone do this for me when I would have one of my crazy ideas and then go basically hire someone to go research something. This would cost a lot of money. Now it's just a sentence. My daily briefing command. So I kick off every day with /GM for good morning. And that is kind of daisy chaining a whole bunch of these skills together. So I've built these various skills up over time, and now I've got this sort of compound skill that encompasses all of those and runs them, some of them one after the other, but technically some of them at the same time. So they're running, a few of them are running in parallel, doing various things, and then after it's got all of those run and it's brought all of the answers back, then it runs a few more things. But it is syncing up data, so it's saving my files essentially to my source of truth. We'll talk about GitHub later, don't worry about that. It looks ahead on my calendar to tell me what's coming and what to prepare for. It looks through all of my current to-dos and my current projects. So again, it has context about what I'm doing, what I've said I need to work on, what I've said I need to get done, versus what's on my calendar and what's ahead. It looks through all of that research that it's updated overnight and tells me if there's anything relevant in there and which ones it thinks are, like which YouTubes are well worth my watching. Others are not worth watching in full, but here's what you need to know from these various videos. So it saves me hours a day of watching stuff that I used to consume to try and keep up with everything. it opens up a morning briefing document, which is more of a dashboard now. So it pops open a dashboard in my browser so that I can see everything visually. It's got all kinds of stuff in there. Again, I can't show you that, but it can be whatever you want it to be. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to look like mine. It doesn't have to be the same stuff as mine. I've got which videos do I need to record next, and I've got my yoga streak and how many days in a row have I done my yoga. It gives me nudges to complete things like that. So at the moment, my osteo is giving me a whole bunch of side plank exercises to do. So it'll pop up and say, have you done your side planks for today? All right, and like, no judgment, just making sure you're doing them. Because I want to see that little streak of crosses on my dashboard to give me that little psychological nudge to keep going. I love it. It's just a great way to start the day. You can record a voice note. So I'll use voice on my phone a lot. I'll use voice on the computer here a lot. But I've built this thing, and you have a copy of this inside the brain that you can use. When I'm walking, I'm usually listening to a podcast or thinking about something or brainstorming with an AI about something. And I'll have a new idea. Again, your brain is really good at coming up with ideas. It's a bad place to store ideas. So I've built this thing on my phone, which I've left downstairs while I'm recording, so I can't show it to you, that I just pop open a window. It's on the home screen of my phone, one tap, and I start talking to it. I hit save, and it goes directly into my brain, into the inbox of my brain. And then, depending on what I've said in there, if I've said write a post about something, it, rather than just reminding me the next morning when I run that good morning command that, hey, you had a to-do to write a post, it says, oh, write a post. You want me to write a draft post. Here's the draft I wrote. Thanks very much. If I say to do, then that becomes a to-do in my to-do list, or remind me to do blah, blah, blah. Or Claude, please add this to my calendar. Then it knows, oh, Claude, that's me. Right, I need to add this thing to your calendar. And then when I run the good morning command, it'll say, hey, yep, you asked me to do this. I've done that. And by the way, I've opened up calendar in your browser so you can check it. It's just business at the speed of thought. It is just such a useful tool. Passes the toothbrush test for me. So in other words, it's a tool that I use daily, usually multiple times a day, particularly on a long walk. It's 40 degrees today, so I'm not walking anywhere. But it's just so useful to have these ways of capturing. I used to carry the moleskin around with me everywhere, or have sticky notes stuck around the place, or notes up on the whiteboard, and different reminders on my phone, different notes all over the place. Now it's just one standard place, and it's kind of a to-do list that starts to do itself, because depending on what I ask it to do, it'll actually start doing those tasks before I even get back to my desk. It's so good. So what's happening here? It's just natural language. It is aware of not only the task I'm asking it to do, but kind of where this fits amongst the other stuff that I'm doing. It takes appropriate action. I've put guardrails around that. So for example, I have told it is not allowed to send those Gmails. It just writes the draft, and then it pops open the drafts in my browser. It doesn't send those emails because I don't trust it enough yet. After I see it write a draft the way I would write it a few dozen times, then I'll probably go to the next step. But for now, and I would highly recommend that you use the same approach, we are the human in the loop, and we need to review this stuff, all of the stuff, until you get to a point where you trust it enough when you go, yep, actually, you're really good at doing that. You carry on. I don't need to see that anymore. So you're not learning magic spells here. You don't have to use a particular prompt in a particular way. You're not learning code. You're not having to remember syntax. You're not thinking, oh God, how do I use this tool? You're just thinking, talking, and just working at the speed of thought. It's phenomenal. And this just becomes completely normal. Once it's all set up, this just becomes part of your normal way of working. And I'm using it multiple times a day for all these use cases and a bunch of other ones as well. So next, let's talk about how you're going to set this up and just help you set those expectations in advance of what you're going to need to do in order to get brain working for you. I'll see you momentarily.